Hello, everyone, and welcome to Devils United. This is a Manchester United versus Brentford stream about the game being postponed. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Devils United. With me today, I've got Soph. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you, mate. Thanks for having me on as well. My debut here on Devils United.
I know, I've been really excited to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Everybody who's on, please hit the like and subscribe button. I can see there's already a few people in the chat, so I just want to say hello to Niall, Brush, Ashley Dola, Jordan as well, and Stevie Bruce and Andrew as well in the chat. I'll go through to all of your comments just shortly, but what we'll just go through a bit about the Brentford game. I just wanted your opinion here, Soph. Do you think the Brentford game should have been called off, or do you feel like Manchester United should have played their youth team instead, like the under-23s?
It hurts to say, but I think football obviously is great and we all love it and whatnot. And obviously for the first lockdown when we didn't have it, I mean, we all missed it massively. And I think it did wonders for mental health bringing it back. So nobody wants to see football stopped again. But health, up for me, always has to come first. No matter what, it has to come first. I can totally understand it. I think it was the right decision, but the only thing I would say, I think the timing of the decision was a bit baffling. Obviously, got people who travel from all over to watch United, and to leave it to so late or so early, like literally midnight, was ridiculous. I think that decision should have been taken a lot earlier, but I do think it's the right call. What do you think about it, mate?
Yeah, for me, I do agree that it should be postponed, knowing that there were so many first team players who was out. I do feel like, though, if there is going to be too many games that are getting postponed, I think we maybe perhaps have to look at something a bit differently. If that's stopping the Premier League to 10 to 14 days, or perhaps maybe trying out the youth, because last season when Aston Villa did have the COVID outbreak, they actually did have to use their youth players for the FA Cup versus Liverpool. So it can be done and you can use the youth players. And
Yeah.
I think, especially knowing the season is going to be starting earlier next season, and then, of course, there's going to be the World Cup in December. It's just going to change the whole schedule completely. The players aren't going to have as much rest. And even that can sustain injuries for the following season as well.
Of course it can, yeah, and it's always a big risk, isn't it? But for me, for our entertainment, I'd just hate to see obviously this outbreak and whatnot, and just people getting infected. And it is for our entertainment, isn't it? Obviously, football is a job and whatnot, but it's games going ahead. Of course, we do. But I think for health, but you're all right. Obviously, Aston Villa had to do it, and fair play to them for doing that and fielding their youngsters. There's no we could do it. It's feasible for us to do that, but for me, I just don't think it sits right. I think that the games need to be played, and I know it's going to be cramped. It always is cramped, especially around Christmas in terms of fixtures, isn't it? But health has to come first. It just has to.
Mm-hmm. If, for example, this game did go ahead, would you have felt nervous in terms of the game coming up, or do you feel like with Brentford itself having a couple of injuries, maybe Ivan Toney potentially being out and Raya the first choice goalkeeper, do you feel like that was a bit of an advantage for Manchester United, or do you feel like this game being postponed is better for both parties if the COVID never happened, of course, and it would have been advantage for both of us, Man United, regardless if we played yesterday or in the future?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's an advantage. I think obviously in terms of us, obviously Europe and whatnot, you'd say probably slightly it's an advantage to us not getting this game. But as you've already mentioned, it's going to be fitting obviously somewhere else along the line. So both teams, I'm pretty sure, would have wanted to get this fixture done and dusted and out of the way. Like we already said, Christmas period is busy with games. We know there's going to be more games postponed. Obviously, saw it with Spurs and Burnley last week and whatnot as well, and Brighton. Like games are going to get postponed. There's going to be plenty of COVID cases. Unfortunately, it seems that's the way that it's going right now. And yeah, I just feel like these games are going to get played eventually, and it's frustrating. But yeah, like I say, health has to come first. Like I know that you say we got a slight advantage from it, but I think Brentford, you can't underestimate. It doesn't matter who you're playing against, does it? In the Premier League, you cannot underestimate anybody. I personally wasn't looking forward to playing Brentford. Seeing what I've done to teams already this season, I'm sure that they'll bide their time and they'll come at us next time. I don't think it really makes a difference in terms of that. The only thing I would say is the fact that we've got European games as well. Obviously, it makes it a lot more hectic and a lot more complicated.
Yeah, it definitely does make it a bit more complicated. And when you do look at the games coming forward, because if, for example, I'm going to be very optimistic in terms of a Man United fan, if we got to the FA Cup final, got to the Champions League final, the games are going to be rampant as well as the Premier League. And then you do question, where are these games what are postponed, where are we going to fit them all? Are we going to fit them in the January? Are we going to fit them near to the end of the season? And the players are going to be playing 4 games in a matter of 2 weeks. What do you think? Where do you think they're going to fit him in eventually?
That's a good question. Very good question. Is it going to be like 3 games a week for a matter of weeks or what? Who knows? Who knows what I do not know. You'd imagine they'd obviously do it towards the end of the season. Obviously we've got competitions and that lot as well. I guess how far the English team's going to go in the Champions League. I think that's another one, isn't it? Because obviously if they aren't in the Champions League, hopefully United are all the way to the end, like you've just said. But maybe that's where they'll start to rotate as well. But yeah, I have no idea. And I'm glad that I'm not going to stop making those decisions because it must cause a real headache, especially with all the football, as you mentioned, coming up as well with the World Cup and whatnot as well. But yeah, look, it's a pandemic at the end of the day, and we've all had to suffer through it. We know we've had to obviously make sacrifices, and football, unfortunately, it just isn't top of the priority list, is it?
Yeah, of course, I completely understand. There has been another outbreak now, and there's an outbreak with the Brighton group, and apparently the
Yeah.
game is now going to be in doubt for Saturday. Do you think this game was going to go ahead, or do you feel like the game was going to be postponed even if Brighton never come out with this outbreak?
I don't think no. Obviously, I believe a lot of the first team squad have got 8 to 9 players have got COVID. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was very unlikely, wasn't it, that this game was going to go ahead. A lot more that are going to be retiring today as well, which is emotional. And rivalry aside, Aguero was a fantastic striker, by the way, an absolute legend. And I want to obviously say I'm really sorry that he's had to retire and wish him all the best for his retirement. But for our entertainment, I just couldn't bear the thought of something more serious happening. Do you know what I mean? As a result of this virus, and that's they were my warning signs, and that's what makes me think. And obviously Lindelof as well. With it, they're saying it's not linked to COVID, but still him having breathing difficulties, it just makes you feel the worst, doesn't it?
It does definitely make you feel the worst. And when you do look at the footballers, I know people look at it and think, wow, a footballer, they're here to play the football, but they also do have families, they do have lives. And when they've got obviously the
Exactly.
World Cup and the Euros during the summertime, they've got no time for their families at all. So I can imagine it's very difficult without, of course, everything else what's going in the background if what's happened to Aguero, and I do wish all the best for Aguero and Ericsson as well. What happened during the Euros, that was a terrible incident, and you're hearing it a lot more now as well, aren't you, in terms of football? It just seems like it's happening more and more each game.
Yeah.
I did look at who was actually in the training session for today, and there was some names who wasn't actually confirmed. Maguire wasn't confirmed. Dean Henderson wasn't confirmed. Another one who wasn't confirmed was Donny. So I do wonder, do you think maybe these players are gonna be maybe in doubt for a while, or do you think this is Man United's way of saying these are the ones who have got the coronavirus and self-isolating?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I think it's down to individuals. So you look at Greenwood, it seemed taking quite a bit to come back from COVID fully, didn't it? Some players have kind of gone differently, and if it is obviously they're not training due to having COVID, it's hard to call, isn't it? Obviously, fingers crossed that they recover as soon as possible, and I mean that with everybody. But yeah, who knows, mate? It's hard to call, isn't it? I just want it all to be over, and I know all of us in the chat feel the same as well. It just feels like deja vu, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it definitely does. I feel the exact same because, as well as probably everybody else, they just want everything to go back to normal as well, don't they? I've got here a couple of comments, so I'll go through some of the comments now. Niall is in the chat. Just watch the United stand there, and it says 8 to 9 first team players out for United, and they are saying they want the game to be cancelled on Saturday. Why not just play the under 23s? Yeah, we did touch on that little bit, didn't we? So I know, especially when you've got, of course, if we played against Liverpool again, for instance, and we played our under 23s, that's always going to be that quite a big disadvantage, isn't it, as well?
But I think no disrespect to the under 23s, but no matter who you play, it's going to be a disadvantage, isn't it? Because you're playing a weakened team. But as you've already mentioned, why should we be treated to the likes of Villa who did it last year? Do you know what I mean? I just think it's an awkward one, isn't it? Because obviously you want to play the youth players, you want to put a bit of trust in them, but it's a big ask, especially in the Premier League, to come out and play in the current situation as well. Yeah, I don't know the answer. Genuinely, I don't even know how I'd answer that. Obviously, Villa had to do it last season, so I'm wondering why we weren't forced to this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've got another comment here. I can understand and get health comes first before football every day, as COVID cases are returning from it was a year or two ago. In my opinion, we want and love our football. Of course, we love our football. And what do you think might be best? Do you think we might be best off maybe stopping it for 10 to 14 days, or going back to these bubbles, or maybe going behind closed doors? Do you think maybe the Premier League could do something a little bit different to try and stop the cases going on? Because it's been 42 cases, haven't there, so far in the Premier League just this week?
Well, I'm right in thinking that we've had the most cases today in the UK than we have through the whole pandemic of COVID.
Yeah, we have had quite a few cases.
I mean, you think people were going mad about people were going on about Cheltenham, obviously when the first lockdown came, and obviously saying a lot of cases obviously transpired there. And they were complaining how bad that was. And then today in London, you've got obviously the London derby between West Ham and Arsenal. We've got Palace at home as well, I think. You'd think there has to be some kind of crowd control, because obviously the amount of cases, that's a lot worse than obviously the races that people went to. This is a lot worse. So, yeah. I hope not. I hope fans can obviously stay there and know about and passports and whatnot, and having to have a negative lateral flow before going in. And hopefully these kind of restrictions work, because I would hate to see empty stadiums again, to be honest, Maisy. I think seeing fans back in the stadium is just such an emotional feeling, wasn't it? And yeah, I'd be sad to see that happen again.
Yeah, me too. It's just that little bit more atmosphere, isn't it? And you can hear how the fans are feeling, and that's a part of football, isn't it? Having your voice and hearing the joy, the laughter, the tears, the anger in football, and that's just the whole part of it. Having them emotions displayed and watching 90 minutes of football. Brush has said, looks like Brighton could be off too. Yeah, we did touch on that too. Hello to Ashley. Hello to Jordan. Niall's bigged both me and you up. Big up to you too, Niall. Stevie Bruce, rest in peace, and Matteo. Yeah, Matteo was a good friend of ours who did watch my streams quite regularly. He did pass away on Sunday evening, so rest in peace to Matteo.
Rest in peace to Matteo. Yeah, condolences. It's horrible.
It is.
It's sad.
Ashley does have a question here. Who has been your best player so far? And he has said for Manchester United. So who's been your player of the season so far at Manchester United this season so far?
At Manchester United, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh, De Gea, I think, has to be up there again. Ronaldo has to obviously be up there for his goals as well. For me, it hasn't been like a major standout. Honest, there hasn't been a player who I think, he's been amazing every week, other than probably De Gea. It's got to be De Gea, hasn't it? After what he's done this season, obviously Ronaldo for his goals, but I say general performances, it has to be De Gea. Who would you say?
For me, I'd probably have to go for De Gea as well. Sometimes he's kept us in the game, like you see the Norwich game last game, where he had done such amazing saves in the first half, and then on the 90 plus 1 minute, where I actually think it went in by Billy Gilmore, and my heart sunk thinking, oh my God, we've conceded. But we didn't, all thanks to De Gea.
Yeah.
And when we had them embarrassing results in the past, he saved us from having a worse result than what we did have as well.
Yeah.
So for me, it probably would have to be De Gea.
I think how many times he's won that player of the season now? Is it already been 5? I can't remember how many, wasn't it? But it just shows
Yeah.
how important he has been for us over the years. And I know he's had his wobbles, but in general, and I think he's back to his best. I really do this season. I think he, after the disappointment of the Euros and whatnot, and obviously the Europa League final, the penalty that he missed, he seems to have come back stronger.
I agree. Talk MU, hi Soph.
Hello,
I've got
talking
my
you.
I've got my queen in the chat as well. Hello to you. I hope you're well. Andrew, good evening to Niall, Ash, Soph, Maisy Talk. Good evening to you too there, Andrew. Oh, so let's have this. And we've got Vincent here. Hello to you too, Vincent. Thank you for tuning in. I Max It Football. Hello to you. Fox's Focus. Thank you very much for the compliment. Good afternoon. Good evening, sorry, to you. And I am sorry to hear about Aguero too. With
Yeah,
Aguero, as much as he is that rival player for Manchester City and who's that pain, he's one of them rival players what you really couldn't hate, and you knew that he was a good player. Like, you look at his stats, and his stats are absolutely phenomenal as well. I think, looking at on average, he was averaging out a goal and assist 87 every 87 minutes for Manchester City, and you do look at that and you think there's not many strikers who can do that. I think he was one of them strikers where he is very hard to replace, and if he did stay them couple more seasons, I think he could have potentially beaten Alan Shearer's record. Do you agree with that, or do you think maybe Alan Shearer's record will
yeah.
probably have been too hard to beat?
I think injuries just towards the end of his City career kind of held him back a little bit, didn't it? Unfortunately, um, yeah, that just can't. But yeah, what a player! What a player! Broke my heart. But yeah, you still have to just hold your hands up and say Man City had a great player there, a legend, Premier League legend, without a doubt. One of the most historical moments, and sadly we were on the other end of it. But I see pictures on Twitter today. And I kept thinking it was Joe Felix. You know the pictures of him in his Atletico kit. He looks like Joe Felix
Yeah.
at that age. I was thinking, I can't believe how similar he looks. But yeah, what a player! And yeah, it's sad that he's had to retire under those circumstances. But obviously, wish him all the best for his retirement and what a career he did have at City as well.
Mm-hmm. Of course. We have got Doug here as well. Good evening to you, Doug. I hope you're well. Fox's Focus, be sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much for that. And everyone who is tuned in, please hit the like and subscribe button. I am on the road to 400 subscribers. So we'll go on to the next topic what I did have, and it was about the Champions League draw. Did you watch the Champions League draw? Did you think at the time when you did watch it, the first draw, did you think there was something wrong there, or did you just not twig it at first?
I'll be honest, I was just sat in a lesson at work, obviously working at school, so I didn't watch it. Then it was break, and I'm going to quickly get my phone and have a little scroll through Twitter and seeing the original clip where obviously they didn't take United's name at the ball at the pot, and seeing it, thinking, hang on, this seems dodgy, and obviously seeing everyone tweeting, oh, Messi versus Ronaldo, PSG, and then I went back to lesson, and then when it was lunchtime, I remember checking back on Twitter and seeing a redraw, and I'm thinking, they're going to redraw it, like I never thought that would happen, and bizarre, but obviously after what happened with the Formula One as well, I'm not an F1 fan by the way, so don't ask me, I'm not a fan, but everyone was talking about the last race and seeing all that going on as well, and then just seeing that happen with UEFA. I mean, we've been saying for a long time how dodgy they are. To be fair, we've been saying how rigged it is and whatnot, and I think that just proved it the other day, really, didn't it? In terms of the draw, obviously PSG, Atletico, both of them a really tough draw. But as I always say, if you're going to win it, you've got to beat the best anyway, haven't you? So I think it's going to be a tough test, and we need to turn up and be at our best, definitely, to stand a chance in that one.
I actually did a watch along for the draw, so when I did the first
I bet that
draw,
was
I
fun.
didn't notice it. And when I seen it all on social media, people were saying, "Wow, we've got the hardest team, fancy that!" And then you hear people saying several days before, "Oh, I want PSG." So I was thinking, right, okay, you want PSG, but then it's too hard for you. Okay, typical. And then people's like, this is a fix, this is a con. And I was thinking, what's a fix? What's a con? We've got PSG. It's just as simple as that. It's a Ronaldo and Messi reunion. You don't think anything of it. And especially when you're doing both things at the same time, it is a lot more harder to notice it out. So then once my friend actually sent the clip, say, you
Yeah.
never guess what UEFA has done. They've missed a ball out for Atletico Madrid. I seen it. I was like, no, they can't do that. And even when I was watching at the time, I was like, when Villarreal's was up, and then we was in Villarreal's pot, and we actually got Villarreal for the knockout as well.
Yeah.
Like, we should be getting Villarreal. And even then,
It was a
you know
shambles.
that it was wrong. Yeah, it was already a shambles. And then people was calling for that draw. And then Atletico Madrid made a complaint and published it all over social media. So then it got a redraw. And when I was watching the redraw, I was very, very cautious. But then I noticed that Liverpool was exempt from Villarreal. And I was thinking, why is Liverpool exempt from Villarreal? And then I was thinking, is that going to be another draw perhaps? But I've never seen anything ever about a redraw for Champions League knockout. You'd never seen it before. And I do look at things because they say, oh, it was a technical issue. And you say, and you think with UEFA, if this is your competition, surely they should know who is eligible to play against whose team, what pot should go into what. Do you think that maybe they should maybe simplify the draws perhaps and maybe just do seeded, unseeded and go from there? Or do you think maybe they should have a bit more knowledge basically on how they should be with the draws going forward?
I think they should just try not to make it rigged. Try not to fix it. Let it be as fair as possible. And the fact that Chelsea ended up with the same team as well, and that's just crazy. After doing that redraw as well, and they ended up with the same team. But yeah, I just think they just tried to, as always, I do think they tried to scam me. And obviously, their eyes lit up at the possibility of Messi versus Ronaldo. And if there's ever a possibility to put them two head to head against each other, they're going to try and do it. Tried to do it, and luckily, and unfortunately for them, but for us, obviously, it was spotted. And then we had that redraw. But yeah, I just think they need to just simplify it, yes. But I think at the same time, just don't try and be corrupt. Just be fair with it. Like I say, questions have been asked for many, many years now, for a long, long time. I think that it just opened everyone's eyes really when they saw how the draw was ran, because it was shambolic.
I've noticed a question here from Football United TV. Thank you for tuning in. There's rumours that Rudiger is linked to Manchester United. Would you have Rudiger? Do you think that we do need Rudiger?
I think, yeah, Rudiger would be a decent signing, to be fair. However, one of the players, I cannot stand him. I cannot stand him. He saw the Leeds players ganging up on the other day. I was loving every second of that. He's just one of the players that I just can't bear him. He's just so arrogant, cocky. But when he's on form, to be fair, he's very effective. And I think he's one of them that if he's on your team, you love him. Chelsea fans obviously adore him. I think if he's on your side, you love him. But when you're playing against him, you just cannot stand him. But yeah, I think he would be a decent signing. Obviously, with the fact that Varane's been injured a lot. Maguire, for any questions to answer. I mean, a Varane and Rudiger partnership, that's fair. I mean, what's your thoughts on him? Because obviously his contract's up, isn't it, soon? So if you could get him, it would be a steal, to be fair. But I think it's unlikely.
I think I really like Rudiger. I've rated Rudiger for quite a few years now, and I think that he doesn't exactly get the credit he deserves at Chelsea. And I think because he's got alongside Thiago Silva, who is a Rolls Royce, as people were calling for Chelsea, I don't think he gets looked at as well as he should do, because I think, as you mentioned, he is that arrogant and he is that fierce kind of player, and you want
just
players in the opposite team. Yeah, you want him to wind people up just so they can get that bit of a yellow card and get a bit feisty. And you look at like Chelsea, Leicester. He scored so many goals against Leicester. I think he scored 5 just against Leicester alone. And I think he's a tall type of defender too. He's good with his head in terms of his corners. I really think he's a magnificent player, and I think it's going to be a big blow for Chelsea going forward, because I haven't seen really many centre-backs linked to Chelsea at this moment in time neither. But if we do get Rudiger, I'd be absolutely happy with that. Honestly, I would be happy. There is a few more players though, isn't there? Yeah. There's a few more players who is linked, isn't there, at the moment? There is, of course, one from Leipzig. There's Bellingham. There's Calvin Phillips. Do you see anyone Manchester United getting in the winter window, or do you think we might even get Rudiger?
With his contract situation, you never know. I know Ralph. They know someone that related to Rudiger very, very well. So you never know what kind of pull that could have as having Ralph. Like I said, I think it's unlikely. Why would he want to leave right now to another Premier League team in particular? I can't see it. But weirder things have happened in football. Weirder things have happened. I read today that Alexis Sanchez is going back to Barcelona on loan. I never would have seen that coming.
Yes.
Never expected that at all. But apparently he's going back to Barcelona. So who knows? In terms of the names you just mentioned, Calvin Phillips, I think, is an outstanding player.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, if it was my preferred choice, I would always say I would like Declan Rice. When you asked earlier who I thought the player of the season would be, and I thought you meant generally, Declan Rice came straight to my mind. I think Declan Rice is outstanding, and I'd love him at United. But yeah, I'd take Calvin Phillips, the ones that you've just mentioned as well. We're linked to, someone said it in the chat just as well, we're linked to most Barcelona players at the minute as well. I've still like to De Jong and whatnot. Yeah, I'll take all of them, Maze. But you know what? In January, I think if we get a CDM, I'll be honest, I'll be happy with that because that's the player that we've been screaming out for. And Calvin Phillips, I would take. And with the whole Leeds situation, obviously it's not looking good for Leeds if they do end up going down. I think maybe Calvin Phillips could be one that we should keep an eye on. I mean, do you?
There is a question here from Ashley. Who must Man United sell in January? Is there anyone in mind for you who you think Manchester United should sell or who we could be selling?
Lingard, Pogba, no contract, obviously. It'd be nice if we could get something for him. Lingard and Pogba. Phil Jones is another one that I'd suggest as well. Mata, there's quite a list to be fair. Who do I think will go in January? I think we could see Lingard going. Possibly Pogba, depending on his relationship with Ralph. Obviously, we get to see him playing under Ralph, so I think that's one again to keep an eye on. What about you, Maisy? Who do you think will let go?
I think one who I think will go will be Jesse Lingard. I think with Jesse Lingard, though, it is a bit heartbreaking to see because I do really like Jesse Lingard, and I remember him coming through, breaking into the first team. I had him on the back of my shirt when he had the number 35 as well. I have it signed by Jesse Lingard too when I met him a few years ago. And he's really, honestly, a lovely person, down to earth as well. So it is such a shame to see that, and it has had great memories from Manchester United, like the FA Cup final where he won us that game when he made Arsenal into a dance mat at their stadium. That was absolutely hilarious as well. But I do look at it and you do see, yeah, he had such a good loan spell, but when he played in that number 10 role and you can got Bruno there, Donny can play there, Pogba can play there, you do think, where is the room for Jesse Lingard? And at that point, we should have said to Jesse Lingard, like, he isn't going to get that game time, just to give him that bit of option if he wanted to go back to West Ham, because West Ham wanted him. And, of course, as well, Borussia Dortmund wanted him as well. I think Paul Pogba should go just because of the contract situation. We can't let him go in this in the summer for free. That'd be absolutely criminal. I've said it from the beginning that we should have let him go in the summer, but we didn't sell him on. And I even said if he doesn't sign by the end of the by the last week of the summer, we say to him, right, we're going to put you on the market now, just so it gives at least a week then for a team to look at him and perhaps go for him on deadline day. And Martial, especially now his agent is coming out, what he's come and said to Sky Sports News. What did you make of that? What he said to what Martial's agent has said?
Not surprised, to be honest with you. I think it's one of them where Ronaldo coming in particular, obviously, and Cavani already being there, fell further and further down the pecking order. Greenwood, obviously, we see to be that vocal figure up front as well in future. Martial's just felt, you know me, I call him Tony Partial, and I call him that for a reason, because for me, he's just not in games for long enough. He's very in and out of games. He's very talented, don't get me wrong, he's very, very talented, but I think he's been given enough time now at United, and he's never really been consistent enough, unfortunately. And I'm not like begrudging Martial for going as well. I just think for both parties, it's probably the right thing for him to do to move on now. Like I say, he's very talented, and maybe he can break into that French squad. So yeah, I'm not really surprised by that. I'm a bit surprised that it's coming from his agent. But like Ralph said, to be fair, like he'd rather communicate with the player directly, and hopefully that we can come up with some resolution. Because yeah, I like Martial, but he just sadly hasn't worked out, unfortunately.
No matter what, I always do like to see the players work out at Manchester United, but I do feel like Martial's agent could have gone a completely different way rather than going to the press straight about it. I think he could have done that direct talk to Rangnick. He's only new at Manchester United, Rangnick, as well, and I think this is the last thing he does need at Manchester United, because he needs to build the team back up again. He needs to teach him his style of play, and I think Martial's agent coming out saying what he has done, I feel like it's disrespecting the club, and I feel like it's undermining Ragnick in a kind of way as well, because it just makes it feel like, oh, you can't talk to Ragnick, so I'll just talk to the press instead. It's quite undermining to me as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, and obviously Ralph knew as well, so he barely had any time to work with Martial, so it's like he hasn't really had a chance. So yeah, I agree. But you know what? That's football nowadays. We know like player power. We know what agents do. We know it's a business more so than anything nowadays. Like, I'm just not surprised after Raiola and the whole Pogba circus. Like, sadly, that's just what happens in football. And agents and players have got so much power in the game now.
Ashley had a question for you there, Sophie. Who did you want in the Champions League round of 16 before you seen the draw?
Like, you know what, with me, with stuff like this, of course, you want to try and avoid the bigger teams like Lille, and obviously, there's not an easy draw. Like, for me, there's not an easy draw. Champions League, whenever it's Manchester United as well, teams step up automatically, you know that. Genuinely, like, I didn't care. I did not care. If we got PSG, I was thinking, oh, great, like, hopefully we can beat them again. Memorable nights with PSG. But you have to beat the best to win, and that's genuinely my attitude. I mean, Maisy, who did you fancy looking at the draw?
Personally, if I was gonna pick anyone from the draw, I wanted Sporting, and the reason why I wanted for Sporting is for that Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes reunion all over again. I would have loved for them to play at their former club. I think it would have been absolutely beautiful, and for them to go back to the stadium where they, like, especially Ronaldo, where he grew up as well. So it would have been nice for that. And I think Atletico Madrid was the one I didn't want the most. I think with Atletico Madrid, they can play real good football, but then once I think they do get that advantage, I feel like they do go very defensive. But when I've been looking at Atletico Madrid stats, they've had 11 yellow cards and 3 red cards in the Champions League this season so far. Do you think maybe they might go into that same kind of tactics against us? Do you think they might come and perhaps get quite a few more yellow cards against us, or do you think they'll be a lot more careful coming into these knockout stages?
I think that's always a weakness for Atletico. Their mentality, obviously, very aggressive, very disciplined, as you mentioned, in terms of their shape, throw themselves obviously into tackles and whatnot. Look, obviously, they've got them very well drilled, and they're going to be a unit to try and beat as well. I don't think they'll change their game for us at all. They're not like Wayne Klein. Simeone doesn't do that. Obviously, like I say, he's got his way of playing. We all know his way of playing. And they've got obviously their danger men as well who can harm us. Obviously, Griezmann back there. Felix is obviously there as well. Suarez, obviously, they've got goal scorers and that can cause us problems. But yeah, in terms of mentality, I don't think they'll change
Mm-hmm.
where they are. They'll try and rattle us, they'll try and unsettle us, and they'll try and provoke us as well.
Ashley has another question for you here as well, Sophie. What's your thoughts on Ragnick so far?
I think obviously having a fresh pair of eyes, a fresh manager in charge, the way that he talks is so calming and reassuring. You know what he's on about in his interviews. He's not talking about like obviously a process and whatnot. We know exactly what he's on about. Obviously, it's still early days in terms of football. I'm not going to say he's done wonders just yet, but yeah, I like what I've seen so far. I'm not getting blown away and saying, "Oh, we're going to win the league" or whatever. And yeah, I'm not saying he's best manager in the league or anything like that. I like what he's done so far. I think there's still plenty of time to go. But yeah, the way that he talks impresses me. He's very calming, very assertive, and like I say, he seems to have a clear plan and a clear vision. Hopefully, that can then be imprinted onto these players as well.
And what I do like about Ragnick, he has definitely changed the style of play for Manchester United, because we didn't see no pressing play at Manchester United whatsoever. We're only 3 games in, and it can take roughly around a month for the team to actually get into the formation, the style of play, especially when they've been used to that 4-2-3-1 formation. The fitness too, that's another big thing. And it's going to take a while, and I think it's going to take a little bit longer with the COVID outbreak too, that they're going to get into the style of play too. I don't think they will win the league, but I think what Ragnick needs to concentrate on would be the FA Cup and the Champions League if we are wanting to have that successful season, and perhaps maybe as well aiming for top 3, I would say, because. And I've always been one of them who says we shouldn't aim for top 4. We need to try and aim as far up the league as possible, like try and close the gap between us and City from last season. But knowing that we've already dropped so many points, I just feel like the best option now going forward will probably be looking at the cups and maybe try and get as far up as the table as we can. Would you agree with that, or do you think we should probably aim just for the Premier League now, or go for more of the cups?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think top four has to be our priority. I know you said third there, but I think top four has to be. Obviously, with the disrupted start to the season, obviously getting rid of a manager, getting an interim in, I think you'd say it's been decent. If Ralph can get us that top four, because it's going to be an absolute scrap to get in there. If we can get that top four position, like you say, a good run in the cup competitions as well, then I'll class that as successful. If we can get a trophy, then obviously absolutely amazing. That'd be fantastic. But top four, I do believe, will be priority because I felt when we got Ralph in, I felt if we kept Carrick, we were kind of writing the season off. Biding our time until we get someone, obviously, at the end of the season. But I think getting Ralph in it showed a bit of desire because actually we do want to change. And there is something still to fight for this season, and we're not giving up. And I like that about it. There's still a bit of ambition there to try and get back into that top four, like say Europe for next season. But also having a successful one in the Champions League and obviously the cups as well. Someone said about the away goals. I was going to ask your opinion on that actually. This reminded me.
Yes,
Obviously, they removed the away goal rule. I used to actually like that rule because I felt
I
like
did.
teams had like tactical edge. If you got the advantage in the first leg, going into that second leg, like teams would play a different way. I liked it, so yeah, I'm a bit sad that it's been taken away. I think it takes a bit of the excitement away, to be honest.
I really do like the away goals as well. And you do look at the Champions League from a few years ago. If you look at Tottenham when they got into the Champions League final, the only reason why they got into the final was due to away goals with Ajax and the away
Yeah,
goals from Manchester City as well. And it does bring that little bit of excitement. I know some people do have a mixed views thinking, right, if we don't have no away goals, they're going to put that 100% effort in regardless. But then people would argue that with the away goals, they'll only try and concentrate on the away game, and then when they come home, they'll think, "Oh, it doesn't matter." Um,
I
what
just
do
think
you
like the
think?
game's not written off after the first game. Like say if you're only, I don't know, you're one goal behind. You know, if you've got that away goal, like you're still in with a shot. Do you know what I mean? It's something
Mhm.
to cling on to, isn't it? So I felt like, yeah, it just wasn't over. Like, obviously, it prolonged the tie a little bit, and it's more fixtures to cram in. And especially this season, what we just talking about, like, the less fixtures, the better, of course. But yeah, I just think that excitement of knowing, like, you can tactically go into that second leg, knowing that you're still in the game, like, yeah, I liked it. But I'm a bit sad that it's gone. I'm sad that it's gone, to be fair. But it is what it is. We move. Obviously, at first, everyone was going mad about VAR. Obviously, we still do, to be fair. Goal line technology. When anything's new, it takes a bit to get used to, doesn't it? But yeah, it's just sad news.
Mhm. Yeah, it is definitely sad news. As I say, I really like the away goals, and sometimes it can be that beneficial, couldn't it, going forward when you are playing them teams. Um, s- Ashley had another question for you here. If Ragnick does a great job in the next 6 months, would you like him to stay on as a manager?
There's an option to get Ten Hag. I'm straight away saying get Ten Hag because Ragnick we know operates very well in that consultancy role. He's done it obviously previously. He's experienced doing that. I feel that's a vacancy that we've obviously needed to fill for a while now, and I feel that we finally got someone who actually could fit that role. So personally, no, I'd like to think we've learned from our mistakes with Ollie. I know Ragnick's a different kettle of fish to Ollie, but yeah, no, I hope that he stays for 6 months and then moves upstairs. But who knows? If we win the Champions League, romantically, I'll be like, keep him on because I'm too emotional and I'll admit that. But who knows? I just want to say, Ashley, I saw his message earlier as well. I will follow you. Just let me know what your ass is on Twitter because it's his birthday in 8 days and he's following him back. Apologise that I haven't. But yeah, Ashley, let me know and I'll definitely give you a follow back for your birthday as well. So thanks for the support.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, with me with Ragnick, I feel like when you know something is working well, you don't want to change that, but then you do. I think if, for example, we do win like the Champions League and then we finish like third place, I say, yeah, give him that one last year. Then he can go to the consulting role because you think if something's working, why not leave it as it is? Because you don't want to
Yeah,
take it out and then bring something in what might disrupt everything all over again. Because we all know Ten Hag and Ragnick, even though they're both attacking kind of managers, they play different types of football as well, and we don't know how well Ragnick will Ten Hag will play under Ragnick signings. So if Ragnick brought in like 3 players, and that's going to be because Ragnick likes these players, who's to say that these players will go with Ten Hags or Poches or it's just a difficult one to be honest. But I think I would give the 1 year and then let him go to the consulting role then. But I would love to have Ten Hag as a manager. I do really like Ten Hag. I think he's amazing with his youth, what he's done for Ajax, rebuilding it after that 2019. It's something what you do really admire, and he has had a really good relationship as well with Van der Sar. So if he does come, he could bring Van der Sar with him.
that'd be nice, wouldn't it? That would be nice.
It,
I'm laughing there at Andrew's comment. It says, why does it look like I'm sitting on a bench at a football stadium? That's where I'm used to sitting. You sit on the bench, so I thought, you know what, that's kind of like my home. So I built me a bench at home.
There was a question what I seen from Abdul before. I just want to say, everyone, thank you so much who has wrote all these comments. I know there's quite a few comments, so I just want to say thank you for it all. It was about Frankie de Jong, because there was rumours, of course, that he is going to come to Manchester United, and Barcelona was happy with that if we give him Martial and Cavani. Would you give them both for Frankie, or would you try and negotiate with something else?
I wouldn't trade Cavani for anybody. That's
Exactly.
how I feel about Cavani. Look, I love him, but look, De Jong is a very, very good player, but I don't believe these rumours. I'm totally honest. You know, it's like, especially Barcelona at the minute, their turmoil. United are always going to be in the picture. The name's always going to be mentioned. New manager coming in, he's going to want to sign his own players. Just automatically, like, for 2 and 2 together, you get 100. That's how it is. But I think he's a good player. But like I said, I wouldn't trade Cavani for. And I mean that genuinely. Like, I love Cavani so much that I wouldn't want to be involved in any deal. But if it is that Cavani wants to leave, then that's obviously a different scenario, isn't it? So, yeah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it's going to happen, and I'm not going to discuss Cavani leaving until that actually does happen, because it makes me sad.
Yeah, I do love Cavani. Every time I've done a watch along, I always say, "My beautiful, beautiful man is playing today." I just really
Everyone
love
loves him.
Cavani. Everybody does love him. There's literally nothing I could say bad about him, because he's such a workhorse. How he's just always all over the pitch, and he's literally amazing on and off the ball. His pressing is absolutely incredible, and if he has that shot on target, it's gonna be in. You just know that with Cavani. He's one of the best goal scorers I did ever see. And just as Andrew has said, he's took the word right out of my mouth. I wish we did get Cavani 6 or 7 years ago. It would have been so amazing to see, to be honest. Brush has had a suggestion as well, a potential Pogba and Frankie swap. Would you take that?
Why not? If Pogba wants to leave, we're going to end up losing him on a free. Like, why not? I think Frankie is a very good player. And like I said, I'd rather have someone who actually wants to come to the club than keep somebody who doesn't want to, doesn't want to stay at the club. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, and as well, I think Frankie's wages is a lot cheaper, isn't it, than Paul Pogba's? Because Paul Pogba was wanting 500k from rumours, and then I think Frankie's only 200.
He wanted more than Ronaldo.
And you can't give someone more wages than Ronaldo. Honestly, you'd expect Ronaldo.
Who do you think you are? Like,
he's one of the highest goal scorers, like one of the best goal scorers, one of the best players in the world, and then you want him more wages than Ronaldo. Is absolutely insane, isn't it?
It is insane. And I like Pogba. And I'm sad that it doesn't look like it's turned out for him at United. But at the end of the day, I'm a Man United fan. I'm not a Pogba fan. And I want what's best for the club. But asking for money like that is a bit ludicrous, isn't it, really? His agent's involved in that.
Yeah, you definitely do know his agents are involved in that. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely amazing to have you on, and we've had a great discussion as well, talking about different kinds of topics. Just before we do end it, if we do get through to the next round of the Champions League, who are you wanting to get?
I'm not tempting fate. I don't know. I'm not going to tempt fate. Who's the possibilities if we get through to the next round? I can't even think at the minute. Obviously, PSG a bit there.
Bayern Munich will be an option.
Anybody but Bayern Munich. There you go. Anybody but Bayern Munich. That's my answer to that. Anybody but Bayern Munich. Well, I'm not going to tempt fate for the next round until we've done this one. But yeah, Maisy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And obviously, I appreciate you coming on Ladies in Red as well all the time. But yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thanks to everyone in the chat for making me feel welcome as well.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been absolutely amazing for being on. It's been absolutely amazing. Where can we find you? I put your description in anyway for Ladies in Red, and they're on my featured channel too. So if you do want to check out Ladies in Red, you can find either through the description or through the featured channels.
Yeah, definitely. And so my YouTube is Ladies in Red. Maisy is a regular on there, and I love having Maisy on as well. On Twitter, Soph Richo, on Instagram, Soph Richo, just with a kiss on the end of it as well. So if you could give me a little follow on them, I'd appreciate it. And yeah, make sure you hit subscribe on Maisy's channel as well. They say nearly 400 subscribers.
Yeah, nearly 400 subscribers now. So I'm not too far from 400. I think when I last checked, I was on 367 subscribers.
yeah, make sure you hit the subs. You're doing fantastic. Love the watch alongs for the women's game and that as well. Regular content. So yeah, I'm subscribed.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone who has tuned in today. Please hit the like and subscribe button and go and subscribe to Ladies in Red. I will be back at the weekend. I'll be doing a match reaction for the Aston Villa game for Manchester United women, but until then I will see you all very soon. Goodbye for now.